before we journey through time, let us first journey inward. You're here now, and that is enough. Wherever your thoughts have wandered today, wherever your body has carried you, it is time to return to stillness. So gently, close your eyes. Feel the weight of your body supported by the bed, the chair, or the earth beneath you. Let your shoulders soften. Let the muscles behind your eyes release. Let go of trying to be anywhere else. Now, breathe in, slowly, and breathe out, with a sigh. Like waves on the shore, each breath comes, and each breath goes. You need not control them. They know the way. Let the noise of the day fade like morning fog. You are not running from it. You are simply returning to a quieter place, to the rhythm that has always been with you, the rhythm of stillness. Tonight, I will tell you a story, not for your mind to analyze, but for your being to drift alongside. We will walk through the cobbled streets of history. We will listen to voices long gone. We will imagine deeply what it felt like to live, to hope, to suffer, in a world both different and hauntingly familiar. And as we wander together, sleep may come. Let it. You are safe. You are still. You are here. Now, let us begin. You didn't choose this life. Not truly. It started in England, maybe in a grimy dockside town like Bristol or Plymouth. You were skint, cold, hungry. Maybe you'd lost your apprenticeship, or your master died of fever, or the harvest failed, and your family had nothing left to feed you. You went to the docks looking for work, or maybe just warmth. You remember the fog rolling in thick as cream, the smell of tar and fish in the air, and the creak of ships in their moorings. You remember the tavern dimly lit, crowded, the floor sticky with ale. The men inside were hard-eyed and loud, drinking and laughing in accents not entirely English. One offered you a drink. The rum was strong, bitter, and unfamiliar. Then, darkness. You don't remember how they got you aboard, only that you woke to the sound of gulls and the steady groan of ropes. You are on a ship now. Not a navy vessel, not a merchant ship. This one smells of sweat and gunpowder and unwashed bodies. The sails above you are patched and faded. The crew look like they stepped out of nightmares. Some with missing fingers, some with eyes like old wolves. Their clothes are ragged. Their teeth are worse. A boot nudges your ribs. Up, English. Barks a voice, thick with Dutch or maybe French. You're pirate now, like it or not. You try to protest, but your wrists are bound. You try to stand, but the ship sways beneath you like it wants you dead. You vomit on the deck. A few men laugh. One spits at you. You've been pressed into piracy. No trial. No choice. Just taken. You are put straight to work. They hand you a bucket and a rag, and you're told to clean the deck, the rails, the captain's boots if he walks past. Your knees ache. The salt water stings your cracked hands. Blisters bubble and pop on your palms, and no one cares. The food is foul. You get a ship's biscuit, hard as rock, riddled with weevils. You're told to tap it to knock them out, but most men just eat the bugs. You do too. Hunger beats squeamishness. The water you drink is brown and tastes of rust. When you're lucky, it's replaced by weak beer. When you're unlucky, it's not replaced at all. Below deck, it's worse. You sleep in a shared hammock. The air is hot and sour. Sweat drips from the ceiling. Rats crawl across your chest in the night. The man in the next hammock coughs blood onto his sleeve. No one mentions it. You're never dry. Your clothes stick to your skin. Salt sores form where the fabric rubs. You begin to stink of rot. There is no soap, no privacy. The toilet is a plank over the side of the ship, and if you fall, you die. Time becomes meaningless. Days are measured in bells, shouts, cannon drills, fear. You learn quickly. You have to. The man who failed to tie a knot properly lost 3 fingers when the mainsail cracked loose. Another fell from the rigging and hit the deck like a sack of stones. They didn't even stop for a funeral. Then one day, the lookout screams, sails. English merchantman to the southeast. The crew erupts into motion. The mood shifts. This is what they live for. Not the food. Not the sea. Not the horizon. Loot. The ship turns faster than you'd think possible. Men rush to their stations. The captain barks orders in a voice sharp as broken glass. Cannons are rolled out. Powder is brought up. Muskets are loaded. Cutlasses are sharpened on the deck. You are given a blade. You've never used one in your life. You hold it wrong. A man slaps your hand and shows you the grip. You nod, pretending to understand. The ship catches the wind. You gain on the merchantman. She's fat and slow, dragging her belly through the sea like a pregnant cow. You wonder if her crew knows what's coming. Then boom. Cannon fire tears through the air. Smoke blinds you. Wood shatters. Screams echo across the waves. You are ordered to board. You do not hesitate, not because you're brave, but because hesitation is punished. You swing across the gap on a rope, heart in your throat, and land on the enemy deck in a tangle of limbs. Everything after that is blood. Men scream. Gunshots echo. You see a boy, maybe 14, stabbed through the gut. You see another man begging for mercy before his skull is cracked open with the butt of a musket. You don't remember who you kill, only that your blade is red. The fighting stops. The enemy captain surrenders. The crew is stripped tied or killed. Some are given the choice, join us or swim. You understand now how you got here. The loot is rich. Barrels of sugar, bolts of silk, coin stamped with the king's face. The crew cheers, but you feel hollow. Your hands won't stop shaking. Back on the pirate ship, the celebration begins. Rum flows. Songs are sung. A man dances naked on the gunwale. The captain makes a speech, but you barely hear it. Your stomach churns. The blood on your shirt is drying into flakes. You return below deck and lie in your hammock, staring at the rotting wood above you. You are a pirate now, and you begin to understand you will not survive this. The sea is not just waves and water. It is mood, and fury, and silence that feels like a warning. And soon it turns on you. At first, it's the wind. Subtle at first. A stiffening breeze, clouds dragging faster across the sky. The crew moves differently when this happens. They glance upward more often. They speak in short bursts. The laughter fades. You feel it in your bones before it arrives. The storm. The sails are reefed, ropes coiled and lashed down. Everything that can be tied down is. You're ordered to hold fast to whatever you can. You don't understand what's coming until it hits. The sky splits open. Rain slashes sideways. The sea heaves beneath the ship like a beast waking up. Thunder rolls across the deck like cannon fire. You can't see your own hands, only the pale flashes of lightning revealing twisted faces. Hands clutching railings, eyes wide with something deeper than fear. Respect. You are thrown against the mast, slammed into barrels, knocked off your feet again and again. You pray to the God you half remember, to Neptune, to anyone who might listen. But the wind draws too loud for your prayers to leave your throat. A man is swept overboard. Just gone. No scream, no splash. Just gone. And still the storm rages. It lasts for hours, maybe days. You lose all sense of time. The only world you know is the thunder, the rain, the sea, and the endless struggle to stay upright. When it finally breaks, the sky feels hollow, quiet like the air after someone stops crying. You survived, but not all did. One man's leg is broken, crushed beneath a fallen beam. Another is coughing blood after being thrown from the rigging. You don't ask how many bodies went overboard. You're too busy working. There's no mourning, no rest, just repairs. The sails must be stitched, the ropes checked, the water barrels refilled with rain. You're given a new rope burn for every knot you fail to tie correctly. And then the sickness begins. First it's the smell, something sweet and rotting. Then the cough, a wet, deep rattle that echoes through the low deck. A man refuses to get up. He lies in his hammock, is dull, muttering things that don't make sense. His gums bleed when he speaks. His legs are bloated. His breath smells of iron and death. Scurvy. You hear the word whispered like a curse. There are no lemons, no oranges, no vegetables of any kind. You eat the same thing every day. Hard biscuit, salted meat, dried peas. What little vitamin once lived in it died long ago. One by one, the crew begins to change. Gums swell and blacken. Teeth fall out. Wounds reopen, refusing to heal. Men go blind. They shuffle through the ship like ghosts, skin pale, limbs trembling. You try to stay strong. You eat slowly, chew longer, sleep when you can. But your gums begin to ache too. You pretend it's nothing. That you bit your cheek. That the salt air is getting to you. But you know better. The captain tries to keep morale. He promises a raid soon. A rich Spanish galleon, heavy with silver. He says once you take her, you'll make port and feast like kings. But no one believes him. The ship begins to stink of death. Below deck, the air is thick with the scent of unwashed bodies, blood, urine, and rot. You avoid eye contact. You avoid the sick. But there's nowhere to go. You dream of apples, of your mother handing you a plum, the juice sticky on your fingers. You wake with your mouth dry and bleeding. One man begins to scream at night. He claims there are spirits on the ship, that the storm never ended, that the captain is cursed. He's tied to the mast until he stops shouting. When they untie him 3 days later, he doesn't speak at all. The men start muttering of bad luck, of a joner on board. You feel them glance at you more often. The new one, the English one, the one who hesitated in the fight. You work harder. You bite your tongue. You pray you won't be next, but your gums bleed worse now. Your legs ache when you walk. Your teeth feel loose. You are dying, slowly, quietly, just like the rest. And yet, the ship sails on. There is no stopping, no port, no rescue. You drift, with the wind and the waves, toward another fight, another ship to rob, another feast of hardtack and rum and blood. You've begun to forget the taste of fresh bread, of clean water, of stillness. You are sea-tossed, salt-burned, half dead and yet still breathing. And the worst part is, you've begun to accept it, because this is life now. Because the sea does not care, and neither does the crew. You are pirate now, but you would not survive. There's something strange that happens when your world shrinks to nothing but wood, salt, and blood. The lines between right and wrong begin to dissolve. The idea of justice of order becomes just another story told by men in powdered wigs who've never smelled a rotting deck. Out here, on the edge of the world, there are only 2 things that matter: survival and gold. You don't remember when you first heard it. The code. Not written in any book. Not spoken like scripture. But understood like gravity. You break your share. You're whipped. You steal another man's portion. You're marooned. You strike an officer without cause. You're dead. But the line between justice and vengeance blurs at sea. You remember a man named Jack. French. Quick with a joke. A good sailor, sharp with rope, generous with his rum. One day, he was caught pocketing a ruby ring before it was weighed and lobbed with the rest of the loot. Not the captain's loot. Not even the quartermaster's. Just a tiny piece of gold. Just once. He was tied to the mast for 2 days without water. On the 3rd day, he disappeared. No one asked where he'd gone. No one looked over the side. Because that's the code. No law but the sea. No judge but the crew. The captain, Barrow, they call him, is a man carved from smoke and splinters. His coat is black wool, embroidered with gold that's frayed and filthy. His voice is calm, always. That's what makes it worse. He never yells. He just says, and things happen. He once shot a man for dozing during lookout. Didn't even raise his voice. You try to stay out of his way. He's not a tyrant. Not exactly. He holds votes. Every man aboard, from veteran to new blood, gets a say when plunder is split or when ships are chosen to chase. But don't mistake that for democracy. If you vote against Barrow too many times, you won't be voting much longer. But it's not just Barrow you fear. There's the quartermaster, the man who enforces the code, keeps the books, makes sure no man gets more than his share or less than his due. His face is half burned. He doesn't talk much. When he does, you listen. And then there's Elijah, the gunner. Old, slow, eyes like crushed glass. Everyone says he was once a Navy officer who turned traitor after being flogged for cowardice. No one knows the real story, but he has a way of looking at you like he sees the death in your future, and likes it. One evening, you overhear something. You're below deck, repairing a tonsure with blistered fingers, when two men nearby begin whispering. They talk about Barrow, about the Spanish galleon you're chasing, how much gold it might carry. How some men think Barrow won't split it fair. How some men think it's time for a new captain. You pause. You listen too long. One of them notices. Eyes meet. Nothing is said, but the air turns cold. You sleep badly that night. You keep your knife close. Not for mutiny. Not even for defense. Just in case you need to make a point. That you're not part of whatever it is they're planning. But the next day, it happens. The lookout cries out. Sails on the horizon. The ship roars into motion. The chase is on. You can see her, a fat-bellied galleon, sails flapping like banners, weighed down with cargo, Spanish flags napping above the stern. She's slower, heavy, but she's not helpless. The galleon turns, bearing her broadsides. She has guns, and she's not afraid to use them. Cannon fire erupts like thunder. Their ship shakes. Splinters fly. Men scream. Blood coats the deck. You are told to reload. Powder burns your fingers. Smoke blinds you. Your ears ring. You do what you're told, and you pray. You fire. You reload. You fire again. Then comes the order board. Again, the rope. The swing. The sickening moment when you're between ships, between life and death. Then, crash, wood, swords, chaos. The galleon's crew fights hard. These are not villagers or merchants. They are Marines. Uniformed, disciplined. They shout in Spanish. They fight in tight lines. You see one of your shipmates run straight into a bayonet. Another slips on blood and is trampled. You duck. Swing. Slash. You lose your blade. Pick up another. You see Elijah take a musket ball to the chest. He doesn't scream, just falls. And then, it's over. The Spanish are overwhelmed. Some surrender. Some leap overboard. A few are dragged to the quarterdeck where Barrow waits. He selects one, a young officer, no older than you. Barrow asks where the gold is. The man says nothing. Barrow smiles. You look away before the screaming starts. The hold is bursting. Coins, jewels, chests lined with velvet, fine wine, tobacco, silks, silver. Enough to live 10 lifetimes. And that's when the whispers return. That night, after the loot is divided and the wounded tended, the murmurs begin. In shadows, below deck, above the creaking beams, some say Barrow took too much. That he skimmed off the top. That this was the plan all along, to use you, then discard you. By morning, half the crew is sharpening blades that haven't seen blood in weeks. You know what's coming. The mutiny. You don't speak. You don't pick a side. But staying silent is a choice too. The first blow falls before dawn. Knives flash in the half-light. Shouts, gunshots, smoke. You're grabbed, pushed, punched. You strike back. You don't know who you hit. You don't even know whose side you're on. Barrow stands on the quarterdeck, blood running down his arm, sword in hand. He holds the line, for a while. But numbers win. By noon, the deck is painted red. The mutineers are dragging bodies into the sea. Barrow lies dead, throat cut, eyes open. The new captain is one of the whisperers. He promises better pay, less cruelty, a future. You don't believe him, because you know now there's no future out here. Only plunder and salt, and stories whispered by men who will die in the dark. And you are still here, but you would not survive. You don't remember when the gold stopped feeling like a prize. At first, every coin glittered with possibility. The dreams were loud and vivid. A cabin in Jamaica, a tavern in Tortuga, silk shirts, no more hunger, no more mud. But now, the gold just clinks. It clinks like chains. Because no matter how much you plunder, you are still a prisoner of this ship. The new captain, the mutineer, runs a tighter ship. Less cruelty, perhaps, but more desperation. The gold is vanishing. The raids are fewer. The navy grows bolder. And word spreads fast when a pirate crew turns on its own. You are hunted now. Once, you saw another ship on the horizon, and it meant profit. Now, it means fear. You can't tell who they are from this distance. A merchant, a privateer, the British Navy, and if it's them, it's over. They don't take prisoners, unless they want to hang them later. Every new port is a gamble. You never know who will recognize you. Which dock worker will run to the magistrate? Which former crewmate will sell your name for a pardon? So you start hiding your face. A scarf, a change of coat. You speak less in taverns, drink alone. You try to disappear. But you can't leave. Not truly. Because where would you go? There's no home for you in England. No family left. No friends who take you in without asking what you've become. You are not a man anymore. You are a ghost with a heartbeat. And then comes the day the crew turns again. You're anchored off the coast of an uncharted island. Lush, green, too quiet. You've come ashore for fresh water and maybe fruit. Your teeth are loose again. That's when the captain calls a vote. One of the men, an old Portuguese sailor with a face like dried bark, is accused of hoarding. They say he hid a string of pearls from the last raid. He denies it. You don't care. You keep your head down. The vote is fast. Not guilty. Not guilty. 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 Tied. The captain casts the deciding vote. Guilty. The punishment? Marooning. Your heart drops. The man doesn't beg, doesn't cry. He just spits on the deck and mutters something you don't understand. Then they row him ashore. He's given a pistol. One shot. That's the custom. Not for hunting. For when the hunger becomes too much, you watch from the deck as the island swallows him. One moment, he's visible between the palm trees. Then, nothing. The crew is silent for a long time. You sleep badly that night. And then, a few weeks later, another vote. This time, it's you. They say you've been speaking to the wrong men, that you're soft, that you hesitated in the last fight. You swear it's not true, or at least, not treason. But the whispers win, and now, it's your turn. You rowed ashore. The island is smaller than the last one. No birds, no sound but the sea. They toss you a sack, biscuits, a flask of water, a flint, and a pistol. One shot. The captain doesn't speak. He just nods. The others look away. The boat pulls back, slow and quiet. And then, silence. No cries. No apologies. Just you, and the weight of your mistakes. You wander the shore first. There's no food, no fresh water. Just rocks and scrub. The sun beats down. Your lips crack. Your feet blister. You ration the biscuits. They mold anyway. You try to catch a crab. You fail. You scream. No one answers. You think about the pistol every day. You hold it. You weigh it. You press it to your head. You lower it. You are not ready. Not yet. But one morning, you wake up and your mouth is too dry to speak. Your tongue is a stone. Your limbs feel hollow. You crawl toward the beach. Toward the spot where the waves reach your toes. You sit. You look out at the sea. You wonder if they'll tell your story. They won't. You wonder if your name will be remembered. It won't. You are not Blackbeard, not Kid, not Anne Bonny or Calico Jack. You are just you, another sailor who gambled with fate and lost. And still, you wait. Each wave a maybe, each cloud a chance. But no ship comes. You were a pirate. Now, you are a ghost, and you would not survive. If you ever imagined a pirate's life was freedom, you were half right. It is freedom. From comfort, from safety, from the rules of kings. But it's also a sentence of salt, of fear, of betrayal. And if you think you'd thrive out there, that you'd stand at the helm, coat flapping, sword gleaming. Remember, most didn't. Most bled. Most starved. Most were forgotten. You wouldn't survive a pirate ship in the 17th century. But now, you don't have to. You are safe. You are warm. And you can rest. Sleep now. The sea cannot find you here. You've been pressed, from landlubber to pirate. You didn't choose piracy. You were kidnapped from the docks in Portsmouth after one too many drinks, shoved onto a ship, and forced into a life you barely understand. This story will follow your reluctant descent from unwilling conscript to hardened pirate, culminating in a fateful betrayal. It began, as so many bad things do, with a drink. A small tavern, tucked between warehouses, and the stink of fish oil, somewhere near the Portsmouth docks. You had just been paid. Not much, but enough. Enough for ale, and bread, and maybe a woman who'd pretend for a few minutes you were something other than a half-starved dockhand with salt in your blood and blisters on your palms. The tavern was loud. The kind of loud that made you forget the cold. Tankards slammed. Dice rolled. The fiddler played so fast you thought his strings would catch fire. You drank. And then you drank more. Someone brought you another round. A stranger. You didn't ask his name. His coat looked too clean. But the drink was strong and sweet, and by the time your vision blurred, it was too late. You remember standing, or trying to. You remember laughing. Then the world tipped sideways. The stone floor rushed up to meet you. And then, nothing. Just blackness. Not sleep. Not dreams. Just gone. You wake up choking on salt. Your mouth tastes like rotting wood and something sour. Your head is splitting. Every part of you aches. You reach up to rub your eyes and find your wrists bound. You're lying on planks. They're wet. The air is thick with tar and brine. You try to sit up, and something heavy shifts beside you. Another man, bound like you. Eyes closed, face bruised. You're not in the tavern anymore. You're in the hold of a ship. Above, you hear shouting. Heavy boots thudding overhead. The creak and groan of sails. The endless crash of waves. You try to scream. Your throat cracks. It comes out a croak. No one hears. You are not alone in the dark. There are others. Groaning. Moaning. A few praying. You hear a rat skitter across a plank. Then another. Your nose adjusts before your eyes do. Rotting vegetables. Vomit. Blood. You're in a floating coffin. And you're moving. When they finally let you out, the sun is so blinding you nearly collapse. You squint, shielding your face with your manacled hands. The man who greets you is smiling, but there's nothing warm about it. He's tall, lean, and sunburned, with gold rings in his ears and a deep scar running from his chin to his collarbone. "Welcome aboard," he says, in a voice like gravel soaked in rum. "Congratulations. You've been pressed." Pressed. The word hits like a slap. You'd heard of it, of course. All sailors had. Men stolen from inns, taverns, even churches. Forced into service aboard ships. Navy, merchant, or worse. No trial. No choice. You'd always thought it happened to other men. Never to you. "This here's the salamander," the man says, gesturing to the creaking beast beneath your feet. "She's fast. She's mean. And she don't like dead weight. So either you work, or you feed the sharks. Understand?" You nod. There's no strength in your body, but you nod. Because you've seen the sea take men before, and you are not ready to join them. The days blur after that. You are unshackled. You are fed, barely. Slop in a bowl. A tin cup of warm, brackish water. You vomit the first time. Then you eat anyway. You learn fast. You learn how to tie knots with raw, shaking fingers. How to climb rigging slick with salt and fear. How to scrub decks until your back screams and your skin peels. The crew doesn't speak much. Most of them are like you. Pressed, broken, angry. A few are worse. There's Ramsay, the boatswain. A brick of a man with fists like anchors and a love of lashes. He watches you like a wolf, waiting for you to slip. There's Kerrigan, the cook. She keeps knives too sharp and smiles too wide. And then there's Crow. No one knows what Crow's job is. He's not an officer, not a sailor. But he's always there, watching, listening. He wears black, even in the heat. He never speaks above a whisper. You avoid him. You avoid them all. You work. You sweat. You bleed. And every night, you stare at the horizon and wonder how far it is to swim. One morning, you wake before dawn, not from a shout, not from a boot to the ribs, but from silence. Something is wrong. The air feels thick. The wind is wrong. The waves are too calm. You creep onto the deck. No one stops you. The watch is gone. And then you see it. A shape in the distance. A ship. Black sails. Your heart drops. You turn and find Barrow, the first mate, already watching you. Don't worry, he says. They're not Navy. They're worse. The black-sailed ship draws nearer. It moves like a shadow. Swift, smooth, silent. Even before the alarm is raised, the tension spreads across the deck like spilled rum. Whispers, then shouting, then the sound of the drums. You didn't know pirates used drums, but here they are. Deep pounding, ancient. Not music, not rhythm. Warning. A few men scream. One jumps overboard. You just stand there, rooted to the spot, until someone grabs you by the shoulder and shoves a rope into your hands. You want to live. The man spits. Pull. And so you pull. You don't even know what you're doing. You just pull. The rope burns your palms. Your shoulders scream. You slip. Someone kicks you. You pull harder. The captain bellows orders from the quarterdeck, his voice sharp as cutlass steel. Sails unfurl. The salamander lurches. You brace your feet, heart pounding. You hear the cannons before you see them. A deafening crack. A flash of smoke. Wood splinters somewhere above your head. A piece of mast comes crashing down, crushing a sailor mid-step. His body twitches once, then stops. You're not pulling anymore. You're just frozen. Someone drags you backward by the collar. You hit the deck hard. The breath knocks out of you. Don't stop moving, hisses the same voice. The same man. You don't know his name. Don't ever stop moving. You scramble to your feet. The pirate ship is right behind you now. Close enough to see the men aboard. They look like nightmares. Shirts open, eyes wild, weapons in both hands. Their faces are painted, some with soot, some with red clay. Some are bare-chested, tattoos carved into their flesh. Some laugh, some snarl. One is missing an eye. They are not here to chase. They are here to board. And then they do. Hooks fly through the air. Metal claws that grab the rails and pull the ships together. The two vessels groan, wood scraping against wood. The pirates sleep. It's not graceful. It's not like in the stories. It's chaotic, brutal, filthy. You see one land beside you, swinging a rusted saber. You don't think. You duck. You fall. He misses. Someone else stabs him from behind. You crawl backward, your hand slipping in blood. A pistol goes off inches from your face. Your ears ring. You taste iron. You pick up a hammer. Not a weapon, just something. You swing wildly at the next man who lunges at you. You hit him in the shoulder. He yells, then backhands you with the butt of his pistol. You hit the deck. Again, everything spins. When you come to, the fight is over. The deck is a ruin. Blood, ropes, fire, bodies. Some of the Salamander's crew survived. Others didn't. You are among the lucky ones. If lucky means breathing, the pirates are collecting weapons, cutting away damaged rigging, and herding the survivors into a corner like sheep. The man in charge steps forward. He's tall, broad-shouldered, with skin like tanned leather and long hair braided with beads. His coat is tattered, but still regal. He wears no hat, no gloves, but the 2 pistols on his chest gleam. You fought well, he says, voice rough but calm. Some of you, anyway. He walks down the line of survivors. You've got 2 choices, he says. Join us, or join the sea. No one moves. You don't move. Then someone steps forward. Then another. Soon half the crew is standing beside the pirates. You stay where you are. The man shrugs. Suit yourself. They don't toss you overboard. Not yet. Instead, they put you to work. They shackle you again, this time below deck, in the dark belly of the pirate ship. The Reckoner. The name is burned into the wood near the hatch. You spend your days shoveling filth, scraping blood from boards, fetching powder for the gun deck. You're fed worse than before, slapped if you speak, ticked if you don't move fast enough. You sleep beside the cannonballs, your back curved like a question mark. You don't know how many days pass. The sea never changes. The sky never pities. One night, a man beside you dies. Fever, or maybe something worse. By morning, no one remembers his name. But something happens. One afternoon, during a storm, the gun deck floods. You're the only one small enough to crawl into the bilge and unblock the drain. You do it. Your fingers bleed. You nearly drown. But you do it. And when the water clears, someone notices. The quartermaster, a wiry man named Halberd, with a silver tooth and a voice like honey and sand. Not bad, he says, squinting at you. Maybe you're not dead weight after all. The next day, your chains are gone. You're still a prisoner. But now, you're a useful one. You're given a mop, a belt knife, and the faintest scrap of respect. It doesn't feel like much, but compared to the stink and chains of the lower deck, it's freedom. You sleep under a tarp now, curled beside barrels of biscuit and rum. You even eat first sometimes. Not well, but earlier. You still don't have a hammock. You still don't have a name anyone uses. But you're alive. And on a pirate ship, that counts for something. Halberd, the quartermaster, seems to like you. Not warmly, not kindly, but he notices you. He's the one who sends you to scrape the barnacles, who makes you count musket balls, who asks you to follow him when he goes below deck to inspect the powder. He teaches you small things, quietly, the kind of things you don't realize are lessons until later. A good pirate never fights fair, he tells you once, handing you a pouch of pepper. Throw this in a man's eyes, and he's not your problem anymore. Don't gamble unless you're ready to lose your boots. If the captain starts drinking before noon, don't volunteer for anything. You listen. You nod. You survive. But then something goes wrong. It always does. It starts with the boy. Barely 15, fresh-faced and trembling. Another pressed so like he once were, though newer. Softer. The boy drops a cask. Not just any cask. One marked with red. The gunpowder stores. It cracks open, spilling dry black powder across the deck. Silence. The quartermaster is the first to speak. Stop. Everyone freezes. If a single spark falls from a pipe, a boot, the sun, they'll all go up. You watch the captain approach. He doesn't shout. He doesn't draw his pistol. He just stares. Then he backhands the boy so hard he flies into a coil of rope. The captain nods once. Turns to halberd. Deck punishment. You know what that means. The cat o' nine tails. You've seen it used. You've heard the screams echo off the waves. You've seen men unable to work again, or breathe, or eat. You know the boy won't survive it. And something in you, something fragile and reckless, snaps. He's just a boy, you say. It comes out louder than you mean. Everyone turns. Even halberd. The captain stares at you like you've grown a second head. Didn't ask for your opinion, he says. Then let me take it, you say, quieter now. The lashes. I'll take them. The boy's eyes widen. Halberd's jaw tightens. The captain laughs. Low and cruel. 15 lashes, he says. You want them. You got them. You strip off your shirt. Kneel on the blood-slicked planks. The sun is too hot. The deck too quiet. The whip cracks. Pain becomes air. You stop counting after 5. Your world becomes heat, blood, and the smell of your own skin tearing. You don't cry out. Not once. Not because you're brave, but because you know, in this place, a scream is an invitation. You black out before it ends. You wake in the hold, bandaged, feverish, but breathing. Halberd is beside you. That was stupid, he says. You manage a smile. Barely. He didn't deserve it. Halberd shrugs. Neither did you. A pause. But the men soar. And that means something. 3 days later, you're on your feet again. Slower. Surer. But upright. The captain doesn't speak to you. Halberd does. He hands you a new coat. Too big, too clean. You're one of us now, he says. Whether you want to be or not. From then on, you're treated differently. The crew nods when you pass. Some even speak your name. You're sent on shore when the reckoner docks. Not as a prisoner, but as a handler, a guard, a voice of the ship. You're still not sure what you've become. Not a pirate. Not yet. But something close. You first spot it just after dawn. A smear of green and rock on the edge of the mist. It appears as the sea calms. Like something surfacing rather than simply sitting there. The lookout calls it down. The crew stirs. You're already on deck, swabbing, when the captain emerges. He doesn't say much. Just squints at the horizon, chews a strip of dried mango, and mutters, drop anchor off the lee. No closer. You glance toward halberd. He doesn't meet your eye, just shoulders his gear and mutters something about fresh water and watching the trees. You're assigned to the landing party. No questions asked. The logboat is heavy. 6 of you pull at the oars. The sun's already hot, baking your back. The island gets larger with each breath, details forming jagged cliffs, clustered palms, a beach like polished bone. No flag, no marks, no docks. Just the thick silence of something forgotten. The moment your boots hit the sand, you know, this place doesn't want you here. Birdsong cuts off too quickly. The wind feels stale. The trees don't sway. They stand. The coxswain, a scarred woman named Inez, spits into the surf and says, "Keep your blades loose." You don't ask why. You do it. The water is found quickly. A trickle from black rock, pooled in a basin thick with moss. Sweet, clean, shockingly cold. Buckets are filled. Casks too. But no one relaxes. The trees seem too quiet. The vines too thick. You feel watched. Not by eyes, but by the place itself. While 2 men refill the water stores, you and Halberd are sent to scout the perimeter. You push into the tree line. The jungle is denser than it looked. The path vanishes within steps. Roots like twisted rope climb over themselves. Every sound feels amplified. Your boots on the damp soil, your breath, the creak of your blade. Then something catches your eye. A shape, half covered in moss. Stone, a marker, square carved. Words barely visible. Some old dialect, not English, not Spanish. Halberd steps up beside you. He doesn't touch it. "This wasn't on any chart," he says. A grave or a warning. He kneels, brushes away the leaves. There's a symbol there, a triangle with a slash through the middle, carved deep. "We're leaving," Halberd says, suddenly. You don't argue. Back at the water site, something is wrong. The men are gone. No shouting, no struggle, just gone. Casks half filled, rope dropped. You and Halberd draw your weapons. The air is too still. Inez stands at the edge of the trees, her hand tight on her pistol. "Something took him," she says. She doesn't know what, but she saw shadows moving through the trees. Fast, silent. More than one. You help her carry the full casks to the longboat. You don't speak. No one does. Back on the Reckoner, the captain says nothing when you report it. Just nods once, then mutters some islands are hungry. That one's full now. The Reckoner sets sail before the sun sets. No one sings that night. The island doesn't leave you. It stays with you like a fever dream, like a tale told by drunk too old to fight. You start hearing stories that the Reckoner has passed through the sea before, that once, years ago, they buried something on that island, or someone, a mutinous officer, a cursed chest, a map. You ask Halberd once. He just says every crew has a place they tried to forget, and that's the end of it. A week later, you find something tucked under your blanket, a strip of oilcloth, wrapped tight. Inside, a bone token, carved with that same strange triangle. You don't tell anyone, but you stop sleeping easily. There's something wrong with the captain. You notice it days after the island. Not at first. He still barks orders, still drinks, still plays dice with the bosun and stares too long at the sky. But there's a tightness to him now. a silence that wasn't there before. He speaks less, sleeps less, and he watches you more. You think he knows about the token, the one wrapped in oilcloth hidden in the seam of your coat. You haven't shown anyone, haven't spoken of it aloud. And yet, every time you pass him, his gaze lingers just a second too long. The crew notices too. Whispers grow like mold on a damp hull. He's got the curse. Happens to every man who goes back to that place. He's seen the black mark. Whatever it is, it has a name now. The island with no name. You don't dare say you found a relic of it. Not when men are starting to wake with nosebleeds. Not when the rats are disappearing. Not when the cook finds salt turning black in the barrels. The captain doesn't call a meeting. He calls you. It's just past midnight when Halberd rouses you. He doesn't speak, just jerks his head toward the quarterdeck. The captain is waiting alone, silhouetted by the moon, arms behind his back like a preacher or a hangman. He doesn't turn when you approach. You've heard the whispers, he says. Not a question, a fact. You say nothing. They think I'm going mad. Or worse. He finally looks at you. His eyes are sunken, bloodshot. They are not wrong, but they are not right either. He reaches into his coat, pulls out a bundle, old parchment wrapped in oilskin. He hands it to you. Look, it's a map, or something close to one. Crude lines, symbols, islands drawn with the hand of a man who didn't care much for scale or reason. But one mark stands out. The triangle, slashed, the same as the token. Next to it, 2 words, black root. The captain lights a lantern, holds it under his chin. We went there once, he says. Years ago, before most of this crew even signed on. His voice lowers. We buried something. Not treasure, not gold, something older, something we shouldn't have touched. He swallows. But the island gave me something back, a promise. And I made a deal. You stare at him. What kind of deal? His mouth twitches. Not quite a smile. The kind where you don't pay right away. You should walk away. You should toss the map overboard, jump after it, and swim until your arms fall off. But you don't, because in his eyes, you see something worse than madness. You see truth, and you're already in too deep. He leans in close. They won't follow me again, but you, they believe in you. You try to laugh. I'm nobody. He shakes his head. No, you bled for them. You took lashes for a boy you didn't know. That's worth more than rank. Another pause. I'm offering you the ship. When the time comes, you blink. Why me? Because you already carry the mark. Your blood runs cold. You don't know how he knows, but he does. He tucks the map back into your hands. There's a place near Tortuga, he says. A man there who knows the old tongue. Find him. He can read it. And then the captain steps back into shadow. Then you decide if you want to finish what I started. You don't sleep that night. Not because of the offer, but because in the darkness of your hammock, you dream of the island. Roots rising like hands, a voice calling your name through the leaves. You wake with sand in your mouth, and a voice in your ear. Blackroot is watching. Tortuga stinks of sweat, smoke, and secrets. The reckoner drops anchor at dawn, and within an hour, the crew fans out across the crooked wooden piers, looking for food, drink, women, or simply a reason to forget their sailors. You're not here for rum. You're looking for a man called Father Etienne. A name passed in whispers, always with a flinch, like speaking it too loud might wake something better left sleeping. Halberd walks with you. You haven't told him everything. Just enough to keep him close. He doesn't press, just nods when you mention a man who reads the old signs, and mutters, if he's what I think, you'd better keep your coin and your soul separate. You find him in a ruin on the edge of the town. Once a chapel, now a skeleton of stone and ivy. The roof is gone. The altar is cracked. But the pews are still lined up, like the faithful never left. He's sitting at the front, barefoot, surrounded by candles burned low. An old man, draped in salt-stained robes, skin like driftwood. His eyes are white, not blind, just other. He smiles as you enter. You brought the map, he says, before you can speak. Halberd's hand falls to his cutlass. You nod slowly. Etienne doesn't move, doesn't reach for it. He just gestures for you to sit. There are things older than ships, he says. Older than kings. Older than God as the church knows him. Black Root, you ask. His face hardens. That is its name now. It had others. He unrolls the map. Fingers trace the ink like a priest blessing a grave. This mark, he says, tapping the triangle, was used by the first cartographers to mean uncharted, but warned. It's not a place. It's a threshold. You frown. Threshold to what? He leans forward. To places you can sail to but never return from. Not whole anyway. A pause. You carry the mark already, don't you? You don't answer. He nods anyway. It marks you when you see it, when you survive it. You're part of its memory now, and it doesn't forget. He reaches into his robe and pulls out a pendant. Carved bone, etched with the same symbol. It will call you back. It always does. But you must not go alone. He presses it into your palm. Find the gold. Take the guns. But when you reach the ghosts, let them speak, or they'll never stop screaming. Back on the reckoner, Halberd says nothing until you've both had a drink. Then you really think the captain buried something there. You nod. I think it's calling him back. Halberd downs his drink. Then we'd best load the cannons. Whatever it is, I doubt it wants to stay buried. The next morning, the captain is gone. No note, no farewell. Just his coat left draped over the helm. Inside the pocket, the ship's seal, the keys, and a page torn from the map. One word written in ink finish. The crew waits. They look at you. No one says it aloud. But you see it in their eyes. You're the captain now. Not by rank, but by blood scars and silence. You take the helm. The sea spreads before you. Endless and waiting. Somewhere out there, the island with no name rises again, waiting to settle its deal. The crew doesn't cheer when you take the helm. They just watch. Like gamblers betting on a blade fight they didn't choose to enter. Some nod. A few spit, but most just grip the rail and stare at the sea. You chart the course yourself. No one argues. You keep the map close, folded in oilcloth, pressed against your chest like a second heart. Every few hours you check it, though the lines never change. It's the ocean that changes around them. Calmer than it should be. Too calm. No waves. No wind. Like the world is holding its breath. On the third day out, the sea turns black. Not with storm, with stillness. You can see your face in the water. Not reflected, mirrored. You lean closer and swear it blinks. Inez refuses to sleep below deck. Halberd starts sharpening his knives without pause. You hear laughter at night, faint and childish, like something remembering how to be human. Then the fog comes. Not drifting, not rolling, climbing. It rises from the sea like steam from a wound, wrapping the ship in cold, wet hands. The lookout vanishes first. One moment there, next moment gone. No splash, no shout, just silence. Then a scream, not from above, but inside the hull. You draw your cutlass. Others do the same. Halberd mutters, keep your back to a wall, and never speak to anything that knows your name. They come at night, figures, pale and slick like drowned men who forgot how to rot. Their eyes glow green. They don't climb, they drip onto the deck. You fight, not bravely, not cleanly. You stab, you kick, you burn. One grabs your leg. Its fingers burn like acid. You scream. Inez cuts it off at the elbow. The thing hisses, not in pain, but in anger, as if you've broken its rules. By morning, 3 men are dead. 5 more are blind in one eye, or half mad. And then the fog clears. You see it. The island. It's different this time. No green. No palms. Just black roots clearing up from the sea, curling into a jagged mass. No birds. No sound. Just the slow, steady thrum. Like a heartbeat beneath the waves. You drop anchor. The sea accepts it. No splash. Just silence. You don't order the crew to land. They come anyway. Weapons drawn. Teeth gritted. Some crying, some praying. All waiting. The island has changed since last you saw it. The trees are dead. The ground is wet, but not muddy. It pulses like flesh. The air smells of copper and something sweet. Too sweet. The stone marker is gone. In its place, a door. Not wood. Not stone. Bone. Carved into the cliffside. Etched with a triangle and a slash. Etienne's pendant glows. Halberd hands you your pistol. Whatever's in there, he says, it's yours. You step forward. The door opens without touch, and the island breathes in. The tunnel yawns before you, not carved, but grown. The walls pulse. Wet veins shimmer faintly in the dark, like bioluminescent roots. Each step squelches. The air grows warmer, thicker, alive with a hum that you feel more in your bones than in your ears. No one speaks. Halberd walks behind you. Inez watches the rear. The others form a tight line. Muskets loaded, blades drawn, hearts thudding like war drums. Every few feet, the tunnel changes shape. Wider, then narrower, then suddenly low enough that you must crouch. It doesn't feel like Earth anymore. It feels like you're walking through something that knows you're inside it. You reach a chamber, circular, hollow, and in its center, a chest. Not gold gilded, not bejeweled, just simple, ancient, bound in leather blacker than pitch, pulsing like it's breathing. You circle it slowly. Symbols swirl across the lid. That same triangle, but now repeated, nested, turning inward like a whirlpool. Etienne's words echo in your skull. Let them speak, or they'll never stop screaming. You kneel. You touch the chest. It's warm. The moment your hand rests on it, the chamber changes. The air thickens. The others vanish. Gone. Not by magic or force, but like they were never here. Their voices fade. Their boots leave no prints. You're alone. And then, you're not. A figure steps from the shadows. Tall, robed in seaweed and shadow. Face hidden, except for 2 eyes. Bright white, with no pupils, no lids. It doesn't speak, but you hear it. Inside, you carry the mark. You opened the door. You made the choice. You try to move. You can't. The voice continues. This is what was buried. Not gold, not treasure, but memory. The memory of what man did when the sea gave him too much. When the tide brought him gifts, and he forgot to give thanks. The figure raises a hand. The chest opens. Inside, not coins, not weapons, but faces, dozens, hundreds. Pressed into the leather, twisting, mouthing silent screams. Some you recognize. The boy you saved from the lashes. The captain, Etienne, your own. The voice you've added to the story. You've walked its roots. You are part of the memory now. Will you carry it forward? You try to speak. Only one word comes. Why? The figure tilts its head. Because stories must be told, and someone must remember what was buried. You blink, and you're back on the ship, surrounded by your crew. The chest lies at your feet. Closed now. No one speaks. Halbert steps forward. We didn't go in, he says. We waited. But we saw things, heard things. Inez, the island tried to leave. It moved. Like it was alive. You don't answer. You look at the chest. You know what it is now. Not treasure. Not curse. But testament. You don't open it again. You carry it to the hold, wrap it in sailcloth, and bolt it shut inside an empty cannon barrel. Let the sea keep it. For now. The reckoner sets sail by moonlight. No songs. No toasts. Just silence. You keep to the helm. Hands steady. Eyes forward. And in your mind, the figure's voice whispers, you survived. But you are not unchanged. Weeks later, docked in Martinique, a sailor asks you about the mark on your hand. The one that wasn't there before. A triangle. Split clean down the middle. You tell him it's a tattoo. A joke. He laughs. You don't.